Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Stories with Ori. I'm very excited about the gentleman that you're going to meet here in a minute. And once again, I want to talk about what I talked about last week, okay? You don't see me talking about all this gangster stuff because you think most people from Italy are gangsters. They are not. The majority of people are very good people, just like the people coming across from the borders. Yes, you had the good, you had the bad. But folks, I only want the good ones. And I have with me today Pat Asante, otherwise known as Pasquale. He's been an actor for many years here in Hollywood. He comes from the region of Puglia in Italy. And he is the Focaccia king of Los Angeles. Folks, meet my new friend, Pat.
Pleased to meet you. How
Hi,
are
Pat.
you?
Good, Pat. So, Pat, look at, tell the audience, where you're from and how you were brought up and et cetera, and
Yeah.
your acting career. People love to hear about that there.
Well, I'm originally from Long Island, New York, and my whole family's from Puglia, which is the heel of the boot of Italy, which is actually one of the most popular regions to visit right now in Italy. And
Why is that? Is beaches?
because the beach, just the food, the beaches, it's very untouched. It was always like one of the best kept secrets. And the thing, because of laws there, so there are no big resorts or hotels on the beach there. You can't build a hotel or you can't even build a house anymore. From the late '60s, early '70s, you have to be 300 meters from the water line.
Really?
So it never developed that. Where now they're building, but they're building more inland, and so and then you have to get to the beach. They have a hotel there called Borgo Ignacio, which is one of the best hotels in the world,
Yeah.
and it's about 20 minutes from my house. And Puglia is beautiful, and the fresh fish and a lot of crudo, and it's near the city of Bari. We're in the city of Bari is where I would fly into. And that's where you get all the boats to Croatia, the boat to Greece. It's a main port there
Bari.
in Bari.
Yeah.
And it's great. And you wouldn't believe the amount of celebrities that are buying homes there now. It's crazy. Like Meryl Streep just bought it, Whoopi Goldberg, Madonna. The English actress, I can't remember her name, but it's crazy, and people are just buying there because it's just beautiful, untouched land.
Well, my next trip to Italy, I'm definitely going. Last time I was in Rome and north,
Yeah, which
but-
is everyone's thing. Everyone goes north, Rome and north.
Well, I was there, and I was there on business too. So, but I had business with the Vatican.
Yeah.
I went to the island of Elba because I was gathering Napoleon Bonaparte artifacts for an exhibit over here for the Queen Mary.
Oh wow.
Yeah. But that's another story for another time because today we want to talk about you, all right? And tell us about your acting career. How did you get from Long Island, New York, to acting to Puglia? Okay, so we got to go around the world with you.
Started going to started in school doing plays and stuff, and then started going to taking acting classes in New York, and really focusing on the work, and then made the move to LA. And one of my first goals was to become a member of the Actors Studio, which I did, which was a great thing for me because it's the studio is all about the work. And I'm one of the few lucky ones who, when I auditioned, got in on my first try. So back in the day, that was unheard of. You would have to audition 6, 7 times. But
what years were those?
and from the 50s on.
From the 50s on.
Yeah, and I auditioned. I became a member in 1987, and I was doing an internship there. And Clyde Ventura, who was the artistic director, was like, "You have to." I was not that I was afraid, but I was always scared to audition because, you have that fear of failure. So, but Clyde was like, "You have to audition in June, or your internship's over." So I did a scene with Valentina Quinn, Anthony Quinn's daughter,
Oh, yeah.
and we worked on it, and my judges were Clyde, an actress Susan Peretz, Marty Landau, and I got in. So that was like a big accomplishment, a big goal for me. And then I started doing commercials and a couple of films, television, and it just snowballed. The business is different now.
So you were an actor before the days of the computer.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yeah.
In those days, I remember actors in New York. You could always spot them because you always carried your big black portfolio and you kept going. A dear friend of mine was Lou Perry.
Oh,
I don't know if you knew Lou.
Yeah.
He was a casting director with offices on 57th Street.
wow.
Yeah.
Well, so that's how, that went. And now I work, it's been crazy. Like we had the pandemic, and then after the pandemic, now we just had 7 months of strike, and now now IATSE and the Teamsters may strike this summer. It's been crazy.
God.
But I also, I'm lucky enough, I have an agent in Rome because of my citizenship, and I have dual citizenship in both the United States and in Europe, so I have my EU passport, so I can work there, which I love working in Europe. So
Really?
yeah,
That's awesome. So how do you get you're a U.S. citizen,
yeah.
but how do you get the...
My mother and father both born. My
Well, if I
parents.
go there, I can do the same thing then.
My dad never gave up his Italian citizenship. My mother did, because my mother came here in the 30s, and then she had to. But my dad came here in the 50s, but didn't become an American citizen until 65. And both my sister and I were already born at that point. And since we were born before he became American citizen, we were entitled to Italian citizenship. And we both got Italian both my sister and I got my Italian passports.
Now you talk about the pandemic. A lot of things happened during that pandemic, besides the fact that we were all locked down.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people made a big change in their life.
And
you are one of them.
Yeah, it was. I've always been a foodie. I've always been into food. I've always worked in the food industry when I wasn't working as an actor. And I worked at Osteria Mozza, and I worked for Nancy Silverton.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. And I started making, and bringing them in, because Nancy has a home in Italy. And my wife and I would meet up with Nancy and her boyfriend, and we would go into some city and eat for a day or two. And, we have, I'm very passionate about Italy, and she's very passionate about Italy and Italian food. So I started making these right here, the tarrale, which you see on the plate. And tarrale, these are a savory, it's a savory cookie, a biscuit, like in Puglia, when you go to a restaurant or go to a wine bar or anything, you just don't get a basket of bread, you get a basket of tarrale.
Really?
Yeah, and these are great with charcuterie and with wine and beer. And
That's awesome. Very good.
I started making them and bringing them into work, and Nancy was like, "You should sell these." So I gave it a shot. I started making them, and I got my bag, and people started buying. it's crazy. People are, they're like addicted to them. You can't stop.
Where? If I go in a grocery store, what section am I going to find these in?
Well, if you go, let's say, to the farmer's market over here in Monsieur Marcel, the grocery store, the French grocery store.
Oh yeah, or you mean on Fairfax? There.
Right. And if you go in there, it's right with all the savory biscuits.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you'll find
I was
them
just
there.
there Saturday.
Yeah, there's another store over here called Dopo Lavoro, which is associated with Toroni, the Italian restaurant. They sell them there.
Folks, these are really good.
So yeah.
Take it from me.
So I started making them, and then I started making them during the pandemic. And what happened was, like Mozza Osteria was doing a lot of. Remember, like they had the Academy Awards, and people were doing them at their homes. So they would going to restaurants like Osteria and doing food boxes and sending them to everyone's homes. So I was, they were putting my tarrale in the boxes. My bags of tarrale to go with
Really?
like with the appetizer with the charcuterie. And so I started, getting orders from Osteria for like 100, 200 bags, and we were making them. And then I started playing around with the focaccia. And
Explain to people exactly what focaccia is.
so this is called focaccia. I'm going to show you right here. See with the tomatoes in it.
Yeah.
This is called focaccia barese. It comes from the city of Bari. It comes from Puglia. We make it different. We don't make it with flour, and we use we use regular flour, and we use semola. Now, semola.
These are made with flour then.
Yeah, it's flour, semola, which is like semolina, but fine grind. So it's like a powder. It's a durum wheat. And we add, there's one secret ingredient to it I don't tell people. And yeah, it's a staple of Puglia, the focaccia. And so I started making them, I started playing around with them, and I was getting really good response. People, started saying like it's the best focaccia they ever had, and I was, saying, okay, let's give it a shot. And I don't know, there's a famous little Italian market in Pasadena on Lake called Roma Market, and Rosario, who is the owner, who was made famous by the late Jonathan Gold.
Oh yeah.
And Jonathan did a write-up on him because Rosario has a $5 sandwich. All right, it's $6 now, but it's a little hero with salami, capocollo, and provolone, and it's $6 each, and he sells like 1,200 a day.
Man.
It's crazy. So I went there, and he said, yeah, you can sell them here. And I put them on his counter, and I have bags, and he sells like 75 a day. It's a busy little store. So from there, it just started,
Now,
the domino effect
here. They look heavy, but folks, I got to tell you, it's very light.
Yeah.
How is that? Is that the?
It's in the rising process.
Yeah.
I let it rise for like 9 hours. And nothing is overworked. Like when the dough is being made, we don't overwork it. So it doesn't become tough.
Is the dough the same dough you use for pizza?
No.
No.
That's a totally different dough. And just like these in the tarrale, I'll tell you, tarrale has no water in them. There's no yeast and no water in these. They're made with wine and olive oil only.
This is made with wine and olive oil?
Yeah, that's it. I have 5 flavors. You have that one. This is classic, the classico. Then I have fennel, chili pepper, onion, and cacio e pepe. And I just started making a sesame seed one. Yeah, they're very, very popular.
They're
So
better than pretzels.
the focaccia just took off, and so there's there's a gentleman who has like 60 farmers markets. He has cheese stands in them. He's a good friend of Mimo's, and from De Stefano Cheese. So I dropped off a bag of tarrale and 2 pieces of focaccia at one of his cheese stands at the farmers market. And I said to the lady who was running, I said, just give this to your boss, and this is my card, and if he's interested. And he called me. He's like, where did you learn how to make focaccia like this? And I was like, well, this is actually my grandmother's recipe. And he's from Puglia.
You went back to Puglia and learned this over there.
Yeah.
Now, what was the learning process? How old were you at that time?
It was in the last several years. It was my aunt, my Tia Maria. She just passed away. She was 103.
Yeah.
And she started teaching me how to make, I always watched my grandmother. I always watched my mother make it. But she was like the last one. She was like, the last one of our family. And I was like, show me. And she started showing me how to make it. And, I have a good mind. I have a good retention. So I remembered everything she showed me how to do. And it was a lot of it's in the kneading process. You know what I mean? And I started replicating it, and there you have it. So
your story is really amazing because here you are in the pandemic. See, folks, when I tell you you could do anything that you want, you want to do if you put your mind to it. And this guy did it. I mean, sitting there during the pandemic, you're an actor. That's what you've been doing.
yeah,
And maybe taking jobs in restaurants or things of that nature. But then you dawn, I want to go in business. I mean, what was the very next step when you decided that there? Because here you are, you got a finished product.
yeah.
Okay.
I started.
You got a bakery. You got employees, I imagine.
Now I do. Yeah.
How many employees you have?
Anywhere, sometimes between 4 and 6.
Between 4 and 6 employees.
And now we're going to get bigger because now, once I started working on this, everyone keeps saying, the gluten-free thing. I'm not a gluten-free guy. You can tell.
I don't even know what the hell gluten is.
Anyway, I started working, trying different gluten-free flours, and I found one that comes out of Italy from the company Caputo, and I worked on it. And I make.
So these are gluten-free?
These aren't. No, I didn't bring my gluten-free today.
Oh.
But I make a really great gluten-free where I actually fooled Nancy Silverton. Now, I don't know if you know about Nancy, but Nancy created a company called La Brea Bakery.
Yeah, I love their bread. The
Right.
best.
So one day after I finally had the
They
product
closed.
that I like, yeah, but they're in all. She doesn't own them anymore. She sold the company a while ago.
Oh, okay.
But I had made a batch, and I finally said, "This is it. This is the one." And I took it and I went to her house, and I did this on purpose because I knew she would be at the restaurant. And I dropped it off, and I texted her. I said, "I'm at your house. I left you some focaccia. I thought you'd be home." And she said, "Come to the restaurant." I said, "I don't have time. Just let me know what you think of this." And the next day she called me and she's like, "I love it. The texture, the seasoning on it's great." And I said, "Well, what about the fact that it's gluten-free?" And there was a silence there for a second. And she said, "Did you tell me that?" I said, "No." And she's like, "Oh my God, come to the restaurant tomorrow." And it happened with Mimo the other day. When he came to the kitchen, I was like, "Mimo, taste this one." And he's eating it, and he's like, "Wow," he was really good, really good. I said, "But that's gluten-free." And he's like, "This is gluten-free?" I'm like, "Yeah." So now they just have I do all the gluten-free for the Chateau Marmont. in Hollywood, and there's a sandwich shop out of Florence called Antico Venaio that Joe Bastianich and Nancy brought to the United States. If you go to their restaurant in Florence, it is on average every day a 2-hour wait online to get a sandwich.
2-hour wait.
Yeah. So and they opened up they just opened up their 5th one in New York. They opened up on Abbot Kinney and in Koreatown on 6th and Western. They're opening up in Beverly Hills at the old Beverly Hills Cheese Store, and they opened up in Las Vegas. And I do all their gluten-free all over the country.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Hey, explain to people what gluten is, because I don't think most people even know what it is.
Gluten is what's in wheat. It's wheat. It's what's in wheat, and a lot of people don't have a tolerance to it.
Why wouldn't they have a tolerance?
That I don't know. Some people can't eat
Because
gluten.
it only came out in the last few years.
Yeah, but there is what's it called?
I mean, I'm a diabetic,
Oh,
so I watch what I eat.
yeah.
But and I
See,
make
like
it,
the gluten-free flour would be better for you. The gluten-free focaccia would be better for you. You know what I mean?
less carbs.
Less carbs, less sugar in it. And the gluten is the main thing. Like I've a lot of people who are celiac, who can't have any gluten at all, and that's the main people who buy my focaccia, my gluten-free focaccia. Yeah,
Man.
it's and the unfortunate part about it is it's expensive because the gluten-free flour is 20 times the price of regular flour. It's really, really expensive. But people want it, and it's like anything. You want it, you pay whatever. I mean, all I do is wholesale it, but still, it's really good. People love it. I mean, when I can fool someone like Mimo
Well, look at that. I ate
from
all the
Italy,
eggs.
oh, people can't stop. On the tarrale,
Yeah,
people can't stop.
I know. It's just a little bag.
So that
You got to package them in bigger bags.
now each one, see these? They're all made by hand.
See?
Yeah, I don't have. They have machine ones, but I don't have a machine. We make them all by hand. They're hand rolled.
How long does that take?
Takes a while, but now it's just like once you get the hang of it, you can zip right through it.
Man.
You know,
And with 6 employees, how many bags a day you get out of that?
oh, I'll do anywhere from 200 to 300. Yeah. Like if we have a tarrale day where I have big orders, and that's all, I'll go in the morning and do the focaccia, and I'll have 2 people or 3 people just rolling tarrale. And then once they fill all the trays, I let them sit in the fridge overnight, and then the next morning they come in and they're cooked because they have to be boiled, then baked, kind of like a bagel.
You got to have a lot of different ingredients. It doesn't look like it, but each one of these are different.
Yeah. So you have rosemary and you have tomato, and then I do a plain one on the focaccias. Same with the gluten-free. And
You make the gluten-free with tomatoes?
tomato, rosemary, or
Yeah.
plain. Like everything for Antico Venaio, I do plain so they make sandwiches out of them. And the difference, and you'll see,
Wait, no, they make a sandwich out of a focaccia.
yeah,
Now, how do they do that? They slice that?
yeah, slice it right down the side. And we are not as of next week. We're going to be online, and I came up with 4 different sandwiches that I'm going to be making for people. I'm going to do the tomato focaccia. I'm going to do the classic with just prosciutto, burrata, oil and vinegar, and wild arugula. And then I'm going to do a plain vegetarian one with grilled zucchini, roasted peppers and a spicy artichoke spread that I make, and burrata also. And then we're gonna do. I started making my own porchetta, which is a dish from Florence, and I learned how to make it, um, and I just did it 2 weeks ago. First time, I said, all right, I'm gonna give this a shot, and it came out really good. I said, okay, first one, let's see how the second. Then the second one came, and then another thing, like Mimo said, I made a sandwich for him. I said, this is my porchetta sandwich. And Mimo was like, this is one of the best sandwiches I've ever had. So I know I'm going right on these things. So, and another thing to note, all my focaccia and my tarrale, except for the cacio pepe, are all vegan. There's no animal product in anything.
Really? So
Yeah.
that's got to be big, particularly here in California.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm proud of it. I never expect. My mom would have been really excited if she was still here.
Your parents are gone.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. But they would have been really.
Now, have you given up acting? Are you still acting?
No, not at all. It's slow. And once you get to, it's not as.
Tell the people what movie you've been in. 'Cause you've been in quite a few.
Yeah, I've done my share, I would say. Television shows I've been in, most of them. I can't, it's so weird. I just like, when you get put on the spot like that, I can't remember the names of them, but there's some big films I've done was like Disclosure and with Michael Douglas. And Jimmy Hollywood with Joe Pesci, and which I got because of Joe. And I got to work with Barry Levinson. I did, Seinfeld, 911, all those shows.
You were on Seinfeld?
Yeah.
Well, you had to be young then.
Yeah, I had hair. So, stuff like that. And I was in the last couple of years, I went to Rome and did a movie called Bent with Bobby Moresco, who I don't know if you know him, and I Academy Award winner for Crash. He wrote Crash. So yeah, it's and then during the pandemic, my wife and I shot a short film in our backyard called $22 Eggs, and we won a ton of awards with it.
Really?
Yeah, it's about two gangsters who are meeting up during the pandemic to go get a hit and to go do a hit. And we come out to California and we're at a restaurant. I go and meet the guy, my partner, at a restaurant, and I start complaining that the food's too expensive. And it's about, $22, paying $22 for eggs. It's actually really funny.
And you shot this in your backyard?
We shot this in my backyard. We set up the backyard, and it looked like an outdoor patio restaurant. Yeah.
So it was all done on a restaurant. That's gonna be awesome.
Yeah. We won like best film at a Sicilian film festival. We won best cast in New York, and yeah, all over. We won a lot of. We did really, really well with it. I'm really happy about it.
Yeah. Is your wife an actress too?
She's a writer-director.
Writer-director.
But she got to act with me because I did a commercial during the pandemic. I was busy during the pandemic. I always had a lot of stuff on my plate. But we did a commercial. They hired me and they hired my wife because they had to be with someone. Someone had to play my wife. It couldn't be another actress because we lived together. And everyone was worried about the pandemic. And when my agent's like, your wife used to be an actress because she used to be years ago. And I said, yeah. Let's do the audition with her and let's see what they think. And we did the audition. They hired us both.
Man.
It was called Physicians Mutual. But it was fun to we got to work together, which was a lot of fun.
Well, I got to give you a lot of credit, my friend, because, you talk to a lot of people and they only look at the negativities of things in life and not the positive.
Yeah.
The pandemic was very bad, what happened, and everything closed down, but you were able to, during that time, make a big switch in your life and start baking. It's something that you actually love doing.
Yeah. I love to cook, so.
You love to cook. And I always tell the young people, find something that you love doing, and you'll become successful.
Yeah, it's just, it's always looking at the cup half full instead of half empty.
Right.
I think one of my I always wake up in the morning with a smile on my face.
Same here.
Because what do we got to be, there's always someone doing worse than you.
Right.
You know what I mean? There's nothing I don't feel that is thrown at us that we really can't handle. Unless you do something really stupid.
Patrick, is there anything you'd like to add before we...
No, I think that's pretty much who I am in a nutshell.
Well, it's been a pleasure having you.
Pleasure was
my
mine.
pleasure. Then, folks, you tell the people where they could buy this. You say you're going to go online.
Yeah, Della
Now,
Corte.
I wanted to ask you that. They're going to be able to go online? You're going to be able to ship it out?
Yep.
All right. Explain to the people and tell them how they could do that and where they find you.
Sure, you can go to dellacortekitchen.com and order there. Or we're in like 40 farmers markets in Southern California on the outdoor markets. We're at Roma Market in Pasadena. We're at Monsieur Marcel on the farmers market, and now we're doing all these little juliennes and
Well, I go to the Beverly Hills Farmer Market. I go there.
yeah,
I can find
they're
it
there. You'll find it. Yeah, it's on the fresco pasta cheese stand.
Oh yeah, I know that.
But Marcel Monsieur at the farmers market on Fairfax sells tarrale, focaccia, everything. McCall's sells my tarrale, and I make special focaccia sandwiches for focaccia bread so they can make sandwiches.
Well, I'm going to stop down to I got to come down to your bakery and have you make me a sandwich.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Anytime, the door's always open.
Thank you. We're going to do it, buddy.
All right, man.
Thank
Thank you.